Family abandons blind dog after owner dies. But they never expected this to happen. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed 4 times, its resonant tones a familiar counterpoint to the quiet rhythm of George's life. He sat in his worn armchair by the window, a book resting in his lap, his gaze drifting towards the golden retriever curled up at his feet. Champ, his faithful companion for over a decade, lay sleeping peacefully, his chest rising and falling with each gentle breath. His once vibrant golden fur was now streaked with silver, a testament to the years they had shared, the bond they had forged in the crucible of life's joys and sorrows. George, a man whose weathered face mirrored the rugged landscape of his Vermont home, reached down to stroke Champ's soft fur, his touch gentle, his fingers tracing the familiar contours of the dog's head. Champ, roused from his slumber, nuzzled his head against George's hand, his tail thumping softly against the worn rug. "Good boy, Champ," George murmured, his voice a low rumble that echoed the quiet contentment of their shared existence. "Best dog in the world." Champ, his blindness a recent affliction of old age, couldn't see the love in George's eyes, but he felt it in the gentle touch, the familiar scent, the reassuring presence that had been his constant companion for as long as he could remember. Their days had settled into a comfortable routine, a rhythm of companionship that echoed the steady beat of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Mornings began with a leisurely stroll through the quiet neighborhood, Champ's keen sense of smell guiding him along the familiar sidewalks, his tail wagging in response to the greetings of passers-by. Afternoons were spent in the backyard, George reading on the porch swing, Champ dozing peacefully at his feet, the warmth of the sun bathing them in a golden glow. Evenings were reserved for quiet contemplation by the fireplace, the crackling flames casting dancing shadows on the walls, their companionship a silent symphony of shared contentment. George, a widower for the past 5 years, had found solace in Champ's unwavering loyalty. The dog had been his constant companion through the joys and sorrows of life, his furry presence a balm to the loneliness that had crept in after his wife, Mary, had passed away. Champ, in turn, had found his purpose in caring for George. His blindness, though a recent challenge, had only strengthened their bond, his other senses heightened, his attentiveness to George's needs unwavering. He would guide George on their walks, his keen sense of hearing alerting him to approaching cars or obstacles in their path. He would lie beside George's bed at night, his soft snores a comforting lullaby, his presence a reassuring guardian against the darkness. Their bond, forged in the crucible of shared experiences and unconditional love, was a testament to the enduring power of companionship, a beacon of light in the twilight years of their lives. The crisp autumn air carried a hint of melancholy, a whisper of change that mirrored the subtle shift in George's health. The once vibrant man, whose energy had seemed boundless, now moved with a weariness that belied his spirit. His steps were slower, his breath shallower, his once booming laughter now a soft chuckle that echoed the fragility of his aging body. Champ, his senses attuned to his master's every nuance, sensed the change. He stayed closer to George, his watchful eyes, though clouded with blindness, never leaving his side. He would nudge George's hand with his wet nose, seeking reassurance in the familiar touch, his tail wagging tentatively, as if sensing the undercurrent of worry that had settled over their once carefree existence. George, a man who had always faced life's challenges with stoic determination, now found himself grappling with the inevitable, the shadow of mortality that loomed over him like the approaching winter. A recent visit to the doctor had confirmed his suspicions, a diagnosis that cast a pall over his days, a stark reminder of the finite nature of life. He tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, to keep the rhythm of their days unchanged, but the weight of the diagnosis pressed heavily on his heart, a constant companion to the growing fatigue that sapped his energy. He found himself taking more naps, his once vigorous walks now shortened to gentle strolls around the block, his once hearty appetite replaced by a delicate nibbling that mirrored his dwindling strength. But amidst the growing shadows, A single concern shone brightly in George's mind: Champ. What would become of his faithful companion when he was gone? The thought of Champ, blind and vulnerable, facing the world without him, filled George with a deep sense of anxiety. He had no close family, his siblings long gone, his children scattered across the country, their lives filled with the demands of their own families and careers. He had a niece, Sarah, a kind and compassionate woman who lived a few hours away, but he hadn't seen her in years, their contact limited to occasional phone calls and holiday cards. He knew he had to make arrangements for Champ, to find him a loving home where he would be cared for and cherished. But the thought of parting with his beloved companion, even in anticipation of his own passing, brought a lump to his throat, a tear to his eye. He resolved to spend every remaining moment with Champ, to shower him with love and affection, to reinforce the bond that had sustained them through thick and thin. He would take Champ on his favorite walks, share his meals with him, and spend hours simply sitting by the fire, their companionship a silent symphony of love and loyalty. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, George sat on the porch swing, Champ curled up at his feet. He stroked the dog's soft fur, his voice thick with emotion. "Champ," he said, his voice a whisper that carried the weight of his love and his fears, "you're the best friend a man could ask for. You've been my constant companion, my furry guardian angel. I don't know what I would have done without you." Sean, sensing the emotion in his master's voice, nuzzled his head against George's hand, his tail wagging softly. He couldn't understand the words, but he felt the love, the sadness, the unspoken farewell that hung heavy in the air. George, his heart filled with a bittersweet mixture of gratitude and grief, wrapped his arms around Champ, his embrace a silent promise to protect and cherish his beloved companion until their final parting. The winter descended upon Vermont with a quiet grace, blanketing the landscape in a pristine layer of white. The snow fell softly, muffling the sounds of the world, creating a hushed serenity that mirrored the stillness that had settled over George's house. Champ, his senses heightened in the absence of his master's familiar presence, lay curled up on the rug beside George's empty armchair, his head resting on his paws, his eyes, though blind, fixed on the doorway, as if waiting for a return that would never come. George had passed away peacefully in his sleep a few days earlier, his weary body finally succumbing to the illness that had slowly consumed him. Champ, his loyal companion to the very end, had stayed by his side, his soft whimpers the only sound that broke the silence of the room. Sarah, George's niece, arrived at the house, her heart heavy with grief for the uncle she had loved and admired. She had received a call from a neighbor, informing her of George's passing, and she had immediately driven up from Massachusetts, her young son, Ethan, in tow. She found Champ curled up beside George's bed, his body trembling with a grief that mirrored her own. She knelt beside him, her hand gently stroking his fur, her voice soft and reassuring. "Oh, Champ," she whispered, her tears falling softly on his head. "I'm so sorry. I know how much you loved him." Champ, sensing her presence, nuzzled his head against her hand, his tail wagging weakly. He couldn't understand the words, but he felt the love, the shared grief, the comforting presence that offered a glimmer of solace in his desolate world. Sarah, her heart aching for the loyal dog, decided to take him with her back to Massachusetts. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Her life was already full with the demands of her job and raising Ethan, but she couldn't bear the thought of leaving Champ alone in the empty house, his grief a silent testament to the unbreakable bond he had shared with George. The funeral was a small affair, held in the local church, the pews filled with neighbors and friends who had known and loved George. Champ, his leash held gently by Sarah, lay beside the coffin throughout the service, his presence a poignant reminder of the loyal companion who had shared George's life. As the minister spoke of George's kindness, his generosity, his love for his community and his faithful dog, Champ let out a soft whimper, a sound that echoed the grief that filled the hearts of those gathered. Sarah, her eyes brimming with tears, knelt beside him, her hand resting on his head, offering a silent comfort. After the service, as George's coffin was lowered into the grave, Champ let out a mournful howl, a sound that pierced the silence of the cemetery, a final farewell to the master he had loved and served with unwavering devotion. Sarah, her heart aching for the grieving dog, led him away from the graveside, his reluctance to leave a testament to the depth of his loyalty. As they walked away, she glanced back at the grave, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. She knew that Champ's journey was far from over, that he would face challenges and adjustments in his new life. But she also knew that she would be there for him, offering him the love, support, and stability he needed to navigate this new chapter, to honor the memory of the man who had loved him unconditionally. The transition to Sarah's home in Massachusetts was a jarring experience for Champ. The once familiar world of quiet streets and predictable routines was replaced by the bustling energy of a suburban household, filled with the sounds of children's laughter, the clatter of dishes, and the constant hum of activity. Champ, his blindness amplifying his anxiety, navigated this new environment with a hesitant uncertainty. He bumped into furniture, his paws tentatively exploring the unfamiliar layout of the house. He startled at sudden noises, his ears swiveling, his body tensing with a fear that echoed his disorientation. Sarah, her heart aching for the dog's distress, tried her best to make him feel comfortable. She created a cozy bed for him in a quiet corner of the living room, away from the hustle and bustle of the household. She spoke to him in soothing tones, her hand gently stroking his fur, offering reassurance and comfort. But despite her efforts, Champ remained withdrawn, his spirit shrouded in a grief that mirrored the emptiness in his sightless eyes. He spent his days curled up in his bed, his head resting on his paws, his senses searching for the familiar scent and sound of his beloved George, a presence that now existed only in the realm of memory. Ethan, Sarah's 5-year-old son, was fascinated by Champ. He would often approach the dog cautiously, his small hand reaching out to tentatively touch Champ's fur. Champ, sensing the child's innocent curiosity, would respond with a gentle lick, his tail wagging weakly. Ethan, delighted by this interaction, would chatter away to Champ, sharing stories about his day at school, his favorite toys, his dreams of becoming an astronaut. Sean, though unable to understand the words, seemed to appreciate the company, the sound of the child's voice a welcome distraction from the silence that had enveloped him. But as the days turned into weeks, Sarah began to realize that caring for Champ was more challenging than she had anticipated. Her life was already full with the demands of her job as a nurse and raising Ethan. Champ's blindness required extra attention, his anxiety necessitating constant reassurance and careful navigation of their home. She found herself constantly worrying about him, her mind filled with concerns about his safety, his well-being, his ability to adapt to this new environment. She felt guilty that she couldn't provide him with the dedicated care he needed, the constant companionship he craved. One evening, as she watched Champ lying listlessly in his bed, his eyes vacant, his spirit dimmed, a wave of sadness washed over her. She knew she had to find a better solution for him, a place where he could receive the specialized care and attention he deserved. She decided to reach out to the local animal shelter, hoping they could help her find a suitable home for Champ. She knew it wouldn't be easy to part with him, but she also knew that it was the right thing to do, the best way to honor the love and loyalty he had shared with George. As she made the call, her voice trembling with a mixture of sadness and determination, she glanced at Champ, his head now resting on his paws, his breathing slow and shallow. She whispered a silent promise to him, a vow to find him a place where he could heal, where he could rediscover the joy of life, where he could once again experience the love and companionship he so desperately craved. The local animal shelter was a haven of furry hope, a place where lost and abandoned animals found temporary refuge, a stepping stone towards new beginnings. Sarah, her heart heavy but her resolve firm, walked through the doors, Champ's leash held loosely in her hand, his steps hesitant, his senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of barks and meows that filled the air. A kind-faced woman with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile greeted her, her name tag identifying her as Megan, the shelter manager. Sarah explained Champ's situation, her voice thick with emotion as she described his blindness, his grief, his struggles to adapt to her busy household. Megan listened patiently, her expression reflecting a deep empathy for both Sarah and Champ. She knelt beside the dog, her hand gently stroking his fur, her voice soft and reassuring. Champ, sensing her kindness, leaned into her touch, his tail wagging tentatively. "He's a beautiful dog," Megan said, her voice filled with admiration. "And he's clearly very loyal. It's heartbreaking to see him struggling like this." Sarah nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I just want what's best for him. I want him to be happy again." Megan smiled, her eyes filled with understanding. "I think we can help with that," she said. "We have a wonderful network of foster families, many of whom have experience caring for dogs with special needs. I'm confident we can find the perfect home for Champ." Sarah, her heart filled with gratitude, thanked Megan for her kindness and support. She left Champ in the care of the shelter staff, promising to visit him regularly while they searched for a suitable foster home. As she drove away, she glanced back at the shelter, a wave of sadness washing over her. She missed Champ's presence in her home, his quiet companionship, his gentle spirit. But she also knew that she had made the right decision, that Champ deserved a place where he could heal, where he could rediscover the joy of life. A few days later, Sarah received a call from Megan, her voice filled with excitement. "Sarah," she said, "I think we found the perfect foster home for Champ. A woman named Megan, yes, another Megan, has expressed interest in taking him in. She has experience caring for blind dogs and seems to have a real connection with Champ." Sarah's heart leaped with joy. She thanked Megan profusely and arranged to meet the potential foster parent at the shelter the following day. When Sarah arrived at the shelter, she was greeted by a woman with a warm smile and a gentle demeanor. Megan, the foster parent, exuded a calm confidence that immediately put Sarah at ease. She had a kind face, framed by soft brown hair, and her eyes sparkled with a love for animals that was evident in the way she interacted with Champ. Champ, sensing her gentle spirit, leaned into her touch, his tail wagging with a newfound enthusiasm. He seemed to recognize a kindred spirit in Megan, a soul who understood his vulnerability and appreciated his gentle nature. Sarah, watching this interaction, felt a sense of relief wash over her. She knew she had found the right person for Champ, someone who could provide him with the love, care, and stability he needed to heal and thrive. After a brief conversation, Sarah agreed to let Megan foster Champ, her heart filled with gratitude for this unexpected blessing. As she said goodbye to Champ, her voice thick with emotion, she whispered a silent promise to him, a vow to stay connected, to ensure his happiness in his new home. As she drove away from the shelter, she glanced back at Champ, his tail wagging excitedly as he walked beside Megan, his gait steadier, his spirit brighter. A smile spread across her face, her heart filled with hope for Champ's future, a future filled with love, companionship, and the rediscovery of joy. Megan's home was a haven of peace and tranquility, a world away from the bustling energy of Sarah's household. Nestled on a quiet street lined with mature trees, the house exuded a warmth and serenity that mirrored Megan's own gentle spirit. Sean, his senses attuned to the subtle nuances of his new environment, felt a sense of calm wash over him as he stepped through the doorway. The air was filled with the comforting sense of freshly baked bread and blooming flowers, a symphony of aromas that spoke of a loving home. Megan, her movements gentle and deliberate, guided Champ through the house, her voice soft and reassuring as she introduced him to each room. She had created a cozy space for him in the living room, a soft bed nestled beside the fireplace, a basket filled with his favorite toys, a bowl of fresh water always within reach. Champ, his initial anxiety easing, explored his new surroundings with a tentative curiosity. He sniffed the furniture, his tail wagging softly as he discovered the comforting scent of other dogs, a reminder that he was not alone in this new world. Megan, her experience with blind dogs evident in her thoughtful approach, had created a safe and predictable environment for Champ. She had removed any obstacles that might cause him to stumble, placed soft rugs on the hardwood floors to cushion his steps, and spoken to him constantly, her voice a guiding beacon in his world of darkness. She spent hours with Champ, patiently guiding him on walks through the quiet neighborhood, her hand gently resting on his back, her voice offering reassurance and encouragement. She played games with him, tossing his favorite toys, her laughter mingling with his joyful barks as he retrieved them with a newfound confidence. She would often sit beside him by the fireplace, reading aloud from her favorite books, her voice a soothing balm to his soul. Champ, his head resting on her lap, would listen intently, his ears perked, his tail thumping softly against the floor, his presence a testament to the healing power of companionship. Megan, in turn, found solace in Champ's presence. She had recently gone through a painful divorce, her life upended, her heart wounded. Champ's unconditional love, his gentle spirit, his unwavering loyalty, filled the void in her life, reminding her of the enduring power of connection. She found herself confiding in him, sharing her thoughts and feelings, her voice echoing in the quiet house, her words a balm to her own wounded spirit. Champ, his head cocked attentively, his eyes, though blind, seeming to gaze into her soul, offered a silent comfort, his presence a testament to the healing power of empathy. As the days turned into weeks, a profound bond formed between Megan and Champ, a bond forged in the crucible of shared vulnerability and the unwavering language of love. They were two souls, each carrying the scars of past hurts, finding solace and strength in each other's company. Champ, his grief for George gradually easing, began to rediscover the joy of life. He explored the backyard with a newfound confidence, his nose leading him on adventures of scent and discovery. He played fetch with Megan, his tail wagging excitedly as he retrieved the ball, his blindness no longer a barrier but a testament to his resilience and adaptability. He would often curl up beside Megan on the sofa, his head resting on her lap, his soft snores a symphony of contentment. Megan, her hand gently stroking his fur, would smile, her heart filled with gratitude for this unexpected blessing, this furry companion who had entered her life, bringing with him a renewed sense of purpose and a reminder of the enduring power of love. Spring arrived in Vermont, painting the landscape in vibrant hues of green and gold. The snow melted, revealing the lush meadows and rolling hills, the air filled with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers and the cheerful melodies of returning birds. Champ, his spirit renewed by Megan's loving care, reveled in the warmth of the sun and the freedom of the outdoors. He bounded through the fields, his tail wagging excitedly, his nose leading him on adventures of scent and discovery. Megan, her own heart healing alongside Champ's, cherished their daily walks in the park. She would often unleash him in the fenced dog park, watching with a smile as he interacted with other dogs, his playful barks and gentle nudges a testament to his social nature. One sunny afternoon, as Champ frolicked with a group of playful Labradors, Megan noticed a woman sitting on a bench nearby, her gaze fixed on Champ with an intensity that piqued Megan's curiosity. The woman had a kind face, framed by silver hair, and her eyes, though filled with a hint of sadness, sparkled with a warmth that reminded Megan of Champ's gentle spirit. As Champ bounded towards Megan, his tail wagging excitedly, the woman rose from the bench, her hand reaching out to gently stroke his fur. Champ, sensing her gentle touch, leaned into her hand, his tail wagging even more enthusiastically. "He's a beautiful dog," the woman said, her voice soft and melodious. "What's his name?" "Champ," Megan replied, her smile warm and welcoming. "He's a rescue. I've been fostering him for a few months now." The woman nodded, her eyes still fixed on Champ. "He reminds me of a dog I used to know," she said, her voice tinged with a hint of sadness. "A golden retriever named Buddy. He was my sister's dog." Megan's heart skipped a beat. She had heard stories about George's late wife, Mary, and her beloved golden retriever, Buddy. Could this woman be connected to Champ's past? To the life he had shared with George? "Your sister wouldn't happen to be Mary, would she?" Megan asked cautiously, her voice filled with a gentle curiosity. The woman's eyes widened in surprise. "Yes," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "Mary was my sister. But how did you know?" Megan explained about Champ, about George, about the circumstances that had led the dog to her care. The woman, whose name was Emily, listened intently, her eyes filling with tears as she learned of her sister's passing and the dog's journey. A wave of emotion washed over Emily, a mixture of grief for her lost sister and a sense of connection to the dog who had been a part of Mary's life. She knelt beside Champ, her hand gently stroking his fur, her tears falling softly on his head. "Oh, Champ," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You were Mary's boy, weren't you? She loved you so much."
Sean,
Sensing her grief and her connection to his past, nuzzled his head against her hand, his tail wagging softly. He couldn't understand the words, but he felt the love, the shared sadness, the familiar scent that reminded him of the woman who had been a part of his early life. Megan, watching this tender exchange, felt a sense of wonder and serendipity. She realized that fate had brought them together, that Champ had played a role in reuniting these two women, bridging the gap that had separated them for so long. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Megan and Emily continued their conversation, their voices weaving a tapestry of shared memories, of lost loved ones, and of the enduring power of connection. They spoke of Mary, of George, of the love they had shared, of the legacy they had left behind. And in the midst of their shared grief, a spark of hope ignited, a sense of newfound connection that transcended the years and the circumstances that had kept them apart. They had found each other, two souls bound by a shared love for a dog who had brought them together, reminding them of the enduring power of family and the healing balm of companionship. The chance encounter in the park sparked a rekindled connection between Emily and Sarah. They began spending time together, sharing stories, laughter, and tears, their bond strengthened by their shared love for Champ and the memories of George and Mary. Emily, who had been estranged from her sister for many years, felt a sense of regret for the lost time, the missed opportunities to connect with Mary and her family. But she also felt a sense of gratitude for the unexpected reunion with Sarah, a chance to rebuild the fractured threads of their family ties. Sarah, in turn, welcomed Emily into her life with open arms. She had always admired her aunt, her vibrant spirit, her artistic talents, her kind heart. She had often wondered about the reasons behind their estrangement, but she had never dared to ask, respecting her uncle's privacy and the unspoken pain that lingered beneath the surface. Now, with Champ as their catalyst, they found themselves drawn together, their shared grief for George and Mary a bridge that spanned the years of separation. They discovered a shared love for gardening, their hands working side by side in Sarah's backyard, transforming the barren patch of land into a vibrant tapestry of colors and scents. They explored the local art scene together, Emily's artistic eye guiding Sarah's newfound appreciation for the beauty that surrounded them. They shared meals, their laughter filling the kitchen, their conversations weaving a tapestry of family history, shared memories, and hopes for the future. Champ, his presence a constant reminder of the love that had brought them together, basked in the warmth of their companionship. He would often lie at their feet as they chatted, his head resting on his paws, his ears perked, his tail thumping softly against the floor, as if acknowledging his role in their reunion. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow over their faces, Emily turned to Sarah, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. "Sarah," she said, her voice soft and sincere. "I'm so sorry for the lost years. I wish I had been there for Mary, for George, for you." Sarah, her heart touched by Emily's vulnerability, reached out to take her hand. "It's okay, Emily," she said, her voice filled with understanding. "The past is the past. What matters is that we have each other now." Emily smiled, her eyes sparkling with tears. "You're right, Sarah, and I'm so grateful for that. I feel like I found a part of my family that I thought I had lost forever." Sarah squeezed her hand gently. "You're not lost anymore, Emily. You're home." In that moment, a sense of belonging settled over them, a feeling of connection that transcended the years of separation and the pain of loss. They were family, bound not just by blood but by a shared love for a dog who had brought them together, reminding them of the enduring power of kinship and the healing balm of companionship. As the weeks turned into months, their bond deepened, their lives intertwining like the threads of a tapestry, each thread adding strength and beauty to the whole. They celebrated holidays together, their laughter filling Sarah's home, their shared joy a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They supported each other through challenges, their presence a comforting anchor in the face of life's inevitable storms. And they shared the simple joys of everyday life, their companionship a source of strength and solace, a reminder that even in the face of loss, love and connection could endure. As summer painted the Vermont landscape in vibrant hues of green and gold, a new chapter unfolded in the lives of Emily and Champ. Sarah, her career as a teacher blossoming, had found a comfortable rhythm juggling her work and caring for Ethan. Champ, his spirit rejuvenated by Megan's loving care, had become an integral part of their family, his presence a constant source of joy and unconditional love. But as the days grew longer and the demands of Sarah's life increased, she realized that she couldn't provide Champ with the constant attention and care he needed. Her work schedule often required long hours, and Ethan's extracurricular activities filled their evenings with a whirlwind of activity. Champ, though adaptable and resilient, thrived on routine and companionship. He would often lie by the window, his head resting on his paws, his blind eyes seemingly gazing towards the door, waiting for Sarah or Ethan to return, his tail wagging hopefully at the sound of every approaching car. Sarah, her heart aching for the dog's unspoken longing, confided in Emily, her voice filled with concern and a hint of guilt. "I feel like I'm failing him, Emily," she confessed, her eyes brimming with tears. "I want to give him the best life possible, but I'm struggling to balance everything." Emily, her heart filled with understanding, offered a comforting embrace. "I know, Sarah," she said, her voice soft and reassuring. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You're doing the best you can." They discussed possible solutions, exploring options for doggy daycare or dog walkers, but none seemed to fit Champ's needs, his blindness requiring a more attentive and personalized approach. Then, a thought struck Emily, a solution that resonated with a deep sense of rightness. "Sarah," she said, her voice filled with a gentle conviction, "what if Champ came to live with me?" Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. "Emily, are you sure?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "I know you've grown fond of him, but it's a big responsibility." Emily smiled, her eyes sparkling with a warmth that mirrored her love for the dog. "I'm sure, Sarah," she replied, her voice firm but gentle. "Champ has touched my heart in a way I never expected. He's a part of our family, a link to Mary and George, and I would be honored to give him a home." Sarah, her heart filled with gratitude and relief, embraced Emily, her tears flowing freely. "Thank you, Emily," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You're an angel. I know Champ will be happy with you." And so, Champ embarked on a new chapter in his life, his journey leading him to Emily's cozy cottage, a place where he would find love, companionship, and a sense of belonging that transcended the boundaries of loss and grief. Emily, her heart filled with a newfound purpose, welcomed Champ into her home with open arms. She created a safe and comfortable space for him, her every action guided by a deep understanding of his needs and a profound respect for his gentle spirit. She spent her days exploring the surrounding woods with him, their footsteps creating a familiar rhythm on the forest paths, their shared love for nature a bond that deepened with each passing season. She read to him by the fire, her voice a soothing balm to his soul, his presence a comforting warmth in the quiet evenings. Champ, his blindness no longer a barrier but a testament to his resilience, thrived in his new environment. He navigated Emily's home with a confident ease, his senses guiding him through the familiar rooms, his tail wagging excitedly at the sound of her voice. He would often lie beside her as she painted, his head resting on her lap, his soft snores a gentle counterpoint to the rhythmic strokes of her brush. He would accompany her on her visits to the local farmer's market, his friendly demeanor and gentle nature endearing him to the vendors and customers alike. Emily, her heart overflowing with gratitude for this unexpected blessing, cherished every moment with Champ. He had entered her life during a time of loneliness and grief, bringing with him a renewed sense of purpose and a reminder of the enduring power of love and companionship. And as the seasons turned, painting the Vermont landscape in a tapestry of vibrant hues, Emily and Champ embarked on a shared journey, their bond a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of animal love. Time, once a relentless force that seemed to slip through Emily's fingers, now flowed with a gentle rhythm, each day a precious gift to be savored. The years passed, painting the canvas of their lives with a rich tapestry of shared experiences, quiet joys, and the enduring bond of companionship. Champ, his once vibrant golden fur now a canvas of silver and white, aged gracefully alongside Emily. His blindness, though a constant companion, never dimmed his spirit, his zest for life undiminished by the limitations of his physical senses. He navigated Emily's home with a familiar ease, his paws finding their way through the well-worn paths, his tail wagging a cheerful greeting whenever he sensed her presence. He would often lie by the fireplace, his head resting on his paws, his blind eyes seemingly gazing into the dancing flames, his presence a comforting warmth in the quiet evenings. Emily, her own steps a bit slower, her silver hair mirroring Champ's aging coat, cherished every moment with her beloved companion. She continued to paint, her canvases now filled with vibrant landscapes inspired by their walks through the Vermont countryside, Champ's presence often subtly woven into the background, a testament to their shared journey. They explored the woods together, their footsteps a familiar rhythm on the forest paths, their shared love for nature a bond that deepened with each passing season. Emily would describe the changing colors of the leaves, the delicate beauty of wildflowers, the majestic flight of birds soaring through the sky, her words painting vivid images in Champ's mind. They would often sit by the riverbank, the gentle murmur of the water a soothing lullaby, their companionship a silent symphony of shared contentment. Emily would read aloud from her favorite books, her voice a comforting melody in the quietude of nature, Champ's head resting on her lap, his presence a testament to the enduring power of connection. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves swirled in the wind like a shower of golden confetti, Emily and Champ sat beneath their favorite maple tree, its branches ablaze with fiery hues. Emily, her hand gently stroking Champ's fur, felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. "Champ," she said, her voice soft and filled with emotion, "you've brought so much joy into my life. You've reminded me of the beauty of simple things, the power of unconditional love, the enduring strength of the human spirit." Champ, sensing the depth of her emotion, nuzzled his head against her hand, his tail wagging softly. He couldn't understand the words, but he felt the love, the gratitude, the deep connection that bound them together. Emily, her heart overflowing with affection, wrapped her arms around Champ, her embrace a silent testament to the bond they had forged, a bond that had healed their wounds, filled their lives with purpose, and reminded them of the enduring power of companionship. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the landscape, Emily and Champ made their way back to the cottage, their steps slow but steady, their companionship a beacon of light in the approaching twilight. The years continued to unfold, each season painting a new chapter in their shared journey. They faced challenges and celebrated triumphs, their bond unwavering, their love a constant source of strength and comfort. And when the time finally came for Champ to cross the Rainbow Bridge, Emily, her heart heavy with grief but filled with gratitude for the years they had shared, held him close, whispering words of love and appreciation as he peacefully slipped away. She buried him beneath their favorite maple tree, his final resting place a testament to the enduring bond they had shared, a bond that had transformed their lives, reminding them of the beauty of simple moments, the power of unconditional love, and the enduring legacy of a blind dog who had taught them to see with their hearts.